Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Polnick again. I'm back with another read aloud. Today I have a Jigsaw Jones mystery, The Case of the Frog Jumping Contest. Chapter 1, String Bean. My frog is missing, croaked String Bean Newen, and I must have him back by this Sunday at noon. Sunday at noon? Mila exclaimed. That's only 24 hours from now. String Bean stuffed $2 into my coin jar. There's more where that came from, he sniffed. Just find that frog. I glanced at my partner, Mila Ye, who was sitting beside me. Together we were as high as an elephant's eye. That is, we were in my treehouse, swaying in the spring breeze. I think the wind made String Bean a little nervous. His real name was Jasper, but most of the kids called him String Bean because he's so skinny. I wondered if String Bean was afraid he'd blow away. This frog, I finally said. I'm guessing he was, some sort of pet? String Bean frowned. Adonis, my frog, is much more than a pet, he told us. He's a champion. A champion frog? I murmured. I scribbled a quick sketch of a frog in my detective journal. Too bad it looked like an upside-down sock with eyeballs. Yeesh. It's hard to draw something when you aren't sure what that something looks like. I mean, really sure. The fact is, I hadn't taken a real good look at a frog lately. Or, like, ever. Who stares at frogs anyway? I didn't spend my afternoons hanging around lily pads. Beneath the drawing, I wrote, Find Kermit, Sunday noon, ribbit. I poured myself a tall glass of grape juice. I don't know why, but the detective business often brings out the loonies. I've solved mysteries about mummies, glow-in-the-dark ghosts, and buried treasure. I figured that a frog wouldn't be so tough. I offered juice to Mila and String Bean. They weren't thirsty. Mila spoke up. So what's so important about noon on Sunday? She asked String Bean. Why do you need Adonis by then? String Bean reached into his back pocket. Then he handed a piece of blue paper to Mila. Frog jumping contest to be held Sunday, April 25th at 12. Bring your own frog. And then trophies for first and second place, ribbons for all participants, $20 cash prize for longest jump. $20, I whistled. That's a lot of money. Adonis is a lot of frogs, String Bean replied. He could win that contest easy. String Bean told us all about it. Every year he went to this big county fair. There were rides and animals and all sorts of stuff. Anyway, that's how he got into this whole frog jumping way of life. 24 hours isn't a lot of time, I said to String Bean. I turned to Mila. We'll need the usual we will need to do the usual missing pet routine. Make posters, look around the neighborhood, talk to witnesses. Mila nodded. She smiled hopefully at String Bean. We handle missing pet cases all the time, she said. Of course, I added. It's usually a missing cat or dog. This will be our first frog, I smiled, but don't worry. I'm sure this case will have a hoppy ending, Mila groaned at my joke. String Bean frowned. Even my dog, Rags, howled at the grass below. Tough crowd. Chapter 2, Frog City. Let's visit the scene of the crime, I said to String Bean and Mila. String Bean's eyes grew wide. The scene of the crime? Yeah, your house, I explained. Why didn't you say so? String Bean asked. Mila laughed. That's typical Jigsaw. He loves saying stuff like that. You have to admit it, I said to String Bean. Scene of the crime sounds a lot cooler than let's go to your house. String Bean nodded, thinking it over. I don't think there's been a crime, Jigsaw. We're talking about a missing frog. Just a missing frog, I repeated. Sure, that's what they all say. We rode our bikes to String Bean's house. He lived over on Merkle Stream Drive, right next to Lucy Hiller's house. I had been over there a few times. Lucy and String Bean had woods behind their houses. I spent one afternoon back there trying to track down a grizzly bear, but that's another story. There were a couple of trucks parked outside String Bean's house with a familiar white van in the driveway. There was lettering on the side of it, Tom Moore, Painting and Repair. I've seen that van dozens of times around the neighborhood. That guy must have worked on every house in town. The front door was open, wide open. Men and women walked in and out of the house carrying tools and equipment. Our house is a disaster area, String Bean apologized. We're turning the garage into a bedroom, finishing the basement, doing a whole new kitchen, and lots more. The sound of hammering filled the house. Noisy, Mila noted. String Bean nodded. It's been like this for weeks, he complained. It's driving my frogs crazy. It's not easy being green, I murmured. Mila ignored me. Did you say frogs? She asked String Bean. Like you've got more than one? Oh, gosh, yes, String Bean beamed. Follow me. As Mila and I followed him down a hallway, String Bean explained. My partner's letting me keep them in our old TV room for now. The room is going to become my mom's office, he said, opening the door. But I can still call it Frog City. It was a small room with low windows along two walls. I immediately noticed that some of the windows were open. In the middle of the room sat a very large plastic container filled with, you guessed it, frogs. The container also held about an inch of water and rocks and stuff. There was a lid covering it punched with small holes so the frogs could breathe, which seemed like an awfully good idea. Frogs like air. A man's deep voice startled me. Showing off your froggies again? I spun around and saw a man hunched in the corner. He had a long white beard, wire-framed glasses, and a drill in his hand. He smiled, showing crooked teeth, and waved his hand. This is Tom Moore, String Bean informed us. Tom is like part of the family. He's been Mr. Fix-It around here my whole life. Tom Moore smiled. That's right. They break it, I fix it. I'm just about done here, he told String Bean. I'll just finish packing up and be out of your way. String Bean reached into the container and picked up a frog. Here, you want to hold one, Jigsaw? I did not. But that's just me. I'm not a real big fan of cold, wet, slimy things. Call me crazy. Mila, on the other hand, was happy to grab a frog. She made a face. Slippery, she laughed. It's like trying to hold a bar of soap. I always wondered, she said to String Bean, how can you tell the difference between a frog and a toad? String Bean tucked in his shirt, pulled it out, and tucked it in all over again. It was a nervous habit, I guess. He was excited by frogs. Go figure. Of course, there are lots of different kinds of frogs, he told Mila. The biggest frogs are in Africa. They are called Goliath frogs, and they grow to be as big as small dogs. String Bean continued. Frogs need to be wet. Toads are different. They are usually dry. They don't mess around with the water. A toad has rough skin covered with little bumps like warts. He picked up another frog from the plastic container. There's one easy way to tell the difference between a frog and a toad. String Bean said, watch. String Bean gently rubbed the frog's stomach, soothing it. Carefully, he set it down on the floor. Boing! It jumped clear across the room. Toads walk, String Bean said. They don't jump. And frogs sure do, Mila exclaimed, laughing. Chapter 3. Kidnapped. While String Bean's mother grilled cheese sandwiches in the kitchen, I grilled String Bean with questions in the living room. I checked the notes I had written in my journal. The carpenter, Tom Moore, said to you, showing off your froggies again? Was anyone else over today? People love seeing my frogs, String Bean said. There were a whole bunch of people. Which people exactly? Mila asked. I wrote down the names. Suspects. Biggs Maloney, Lucy Hiller, Eddie Becker, Sasha Mink. We know most of the kids on the list from school, Mila said. But who is Sasha Mink? String Bean held out his open palms. Beats me. Some new kid in town. Lucy knows her from soccer or something. I put a little star next to Sasha Mink's name. Is that when you noticed Adonis was missing? I asked. String Bean shook his head. Not really. The room was pretty crowded. There was a lot going on, he explained. Frogs jumping all over the place. It's hard to keep track, Mila noted. So Adonis might have escaped then? Or sometime after? String Bean untucked his shirt, bunching it up in the ends of his fingers. I don't know when Adonis disappeared. All I know for sure is when I went back into Frog City about half an hour later, Adonis was definitely gone. Mila nodded. But it's possible that Adonis escaped at the time when everyone was visiting. Stream Bean bit his lip. Yes, it's possible. Mila looked at me. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? She asked. Are you thinking that you'd love a glass of grape juice? I wondered. No, Mila said. I'm thinking that maybe Adonis didn't escape after all. Oh, I mused. I guess I was thinking about that too, along with the grape juice. What do you mean Adonis didn't escape? String Bean interrupted. Of course he did. He's gone, isn't he? Calm down, String Bean, I suggested. It's very possible that Adonis was stolen. Stolen? String Bean gulped. But why? Mila pointed to the words at the bottom of the frog jumping contest poster. She read aloud. $20 cash prize for longest jump. The oldest motive in the world, I said. Money. String Bean couldn't believe it. But those are my friends, he said. They wouldn't steal for it. Look, String Bean, I explained patiently. You said that Adonis could easily win that jumping contest, right? Right. But if Adonis isn't around to enter the contest, then somebody else will win the money, Mila concluded. We've been detectives for a long time, String Bean, I said. We've seen a lot of bad things. Some people, even the people we think of as friends, will do anything for an extra $1. I stood up and rubbed my stomach. First things first. There is one mystery that I think you might be able to solve right now. There is? String Bean asked. Yeah, I replied. What is taking your mother so long with those grilled cheese sandwiches? I'm starving. Chapter 4. The Plan. How do you like it? I held up the flyer for Mila to see. It's good, Mila said. She didn't sound convincing. I studied the flyer. Have you seen this frog? Call 555-4523. What's wrong with it? I asked. That's a picture of a frog, right? Mila asked. Right. Mila squinched her nose. It looks like a wet sock with eyes. What do you want me to do? I complained. Glue a picture of Kermit from Sesame Street? Mila smiled. Maybe frogs aren't your strong point, Jigsaw. Let me try and draw the picture. Mila sat down and began to draw. But if I ever need a really good picture of a sock, I'll know who to ask, she added. I sighed. This all seems like a waste of time. We have to try everything, Mila said. You saw the open window in Frog City. It is possible that Adonis jumped to freedom. Yeah, like a prison escape, I said. Mila got up to look at the picture of a frog that she would copy, and soon returned with a book, The Tale of Jeremy Fisher by Brixius Potter. One of my all-time favorites, Mila purred. She picked up a green crayon. Meanwhile, I paced the room. My dog, Rags, paced alongside me. I was thinking. He was drooling. I guess you could say we were a team. I'll call some friends, see if we can get help, Mila offered. We'll search the neighborhood. Adonis couldn't have hopped very far. I'll go from house to house. Maybe someone has seen him. Good idea, I said. Talk to dog owners. They're always out walking their pets in the neighborhood. If there was a frog on the loose, they might have seen it. I'll tell you what. Take Rags with you. Dogs are natural detectives. If he sniffs something, Rags will investigate. The problem is he's more likely to find an old donut than a runaway frog. Mila frowned. Aren't you going to help? There's not enough time, I replied. We've got to split up. I have a lot of suspects to check out. Plus, I've got to find out more about this frog jumping contest. Mila finished her drawing of the frog. It looked pretty good. There, she said. Done. Mila raced off to the library. She needed to make copies of the flyer and tape them all over String Bean's neighborhood. I jumped on my bike. I had suspects to meet and questions to ask them. Their names were Biggs Maloney, Lucy Hiller, Eddie Becker, and Sasha Meek. I already knew Eddie, Biggs, and Lucy. They didn't seem like they'd ever steal from String Bean, but Sasha Mink, that was a new one on me. Okay, I'm actually gonna stop there, you guys. So we left off at chapter 5. I will be back probably on Monday to finish this book. I cannot wait to find out what happens with String Bean's frog. All right, see you guys later.